Ebusi ame mo akaba BM the Badge Politics Avenue. Make sure also subscribe to our channel. And please again leave a nice comment and share the video to other viewers. Ebusi amo my Ryan Semino, Dr. Bawumia, and never Pia Bontin, Eka, and Sema Eko Soa, Emma Ernest Kumi, Eshrenim Kwaya Yaya, or say Ernest Kumi, Enya pressure, and I'm saying, didn't call as in the year. Na ye nyinaa yɛnim sɛ na court ɛbɛhyɛ ase ayɛ investigations about him ɛne ɛkwan a ɛfa so a ɔmo maa ne renee ɛyɛ akotia election ne seat no. Nti saa nneɛma wei nyinaa ɛkɔɔ so no ɛna ɛmaa Ernest Kumi pressure kɔɔ so a he was having a sleepless night a ɛnɛ Ernest Kumi ɛnka ateasefoɔ ho biom. And wei ne nsɛm bebree a ɛyɛ Dr. Bawumia ɛka fa a ɛyɛ Ernest Kumi ɛwuo ne ho. Momma yɛmbɔ nwura yɛn nsɛm nim na yɛnkɔhwɛ saa nsɛm yi ɛne deɛ ɛkeka ho. Meda mo ase.
Tiatia no saa na ne pressure no na ɛkɔ soro court no bɛdi asɛm no wieɛ bɛyɛ June 11 hɔ na court no say ampa ɔne ne the rightfully elected member of parliament for Akuffo. So, 26 days per and a free. 26 days. Into Diana Odianim lawyer, Odianim medina call court. So, lawyer no say, na also obegina ama NDC for. Let me say, thank you for Akuffo for Mama Fasa Akoniano and Ma Sa lawyer, no young from Solomon. Amen. Asubudu na yanko. Nana. Yeah, Dibia Ernest Kase obeye ama Akuffo no. Ebebua Kwame Asubudu na waye ama Akuffo.
It's in the tentative. It is not permanent. We will surely go or depart and then one day leave the world behind. That is why you must have two bank accounts. You must have the worldly bank account and you must also have the eternal bank account. A scholar in Islam said something that when you set up for business and gain something or profit, that profit in your hand, you only have two that belongs to you. The one you use to purchase food and eat into your stomach is yours. The other one that you use or take part to give in charity or alms to people, grow, bless people, that is a bank account you have saved for yourself in future. I mean, in the eternity. Now, what is left is for people to inherit. It's not yours. You can buy all the houses. You can buy all the cars. Remember, you are not doing it for yourself. You are doing it for others. People you don't even know. People you may not even have linked to. So clearly, I just think that this is a solemn occasion. This is something that we all need to reflect on. It happened in a very, let me use the word crude, even though God in his wisdom knows why. In a very crude way, not by their making, not by our making, but by the making of anybody. However, we would have to continue to pray for the departed and also pray for ourselves as we remain again. Ghana has been in a state of mourning, but I believe, inshallah, we shall recover from it again and then life moves on.
Very well, Aji. Thank you so much. Elvis, your thoughts on the final funeral rites and, of course, the fund that the president mentioned for the victims' children?
Oh, I think the final funeral rites, I think the nation did its best by giving them that befitting barrier. And I think that we should just pat ourselves in the back that at least we decided to give them that befitting goodbye. And I think that was in the right direction. And obviously, those who are left behind is the major problem. Because if they are anybody who depends on these people for anything, whether emotional support, financial support, encourage, whatever it is, from now they will never get that support from that person anymore. And for me, both Islam and Christianity made it clear to us to understand that the world is not our home and that we have a permanent home to go to one day. Both religions made it clear that we will die. And both religions made it clear that after death, there's going to be judgment. And both religions made it clear that those who God will find worthy will have a everlasting place to live. So for those left behind, they need to console themselves in the fact that if we belong to both religions, we believe that this world is a temporal place. And the Bible says every human being, once you are born, know that you are going to die one day. How you are going to die is what you don't know. But for the dead, it is guaranteed that everybody will die. And I always say that if we had come to meet people who are 500 years old, 1,000 years old, maybe we would doubt whether we are going to die. But in our generations, you hardly find anybody who is 150 years old and still strong, alive and moving. And that gives me that evidence that the Bible statement that we all know that we are going to die one day is not in doubt. So if you are a human being, you know that you die one day. And the question is, what relationship do you have with God? As he said that you have a bank, but the Bible says that we should build our homes, our treasures, we should keep them in heaven. And that whatever we have on earth is vanity. And that it's not what we should actually rely on. Whatever we are doing on earth, every material thing we see on earth, the Bible says is vanity. Say God doesn't need them. If you are a Christian, the Bible says a day will come, God will destroy everything, including all the mansions, the cars. Say God does not need them. Where you are going, He has better things there for us. So we must all understand that this life that we are all living, one day we will all go. We will all go. And that is what all of us should keep in mind. I think the state setting up the fund, for me, it's a defining moment for us to realize that we need to honor those left behind. And the announcement of the fund has also come with criticisms because people have pointed to the fact that in 2002, 7 Air Force officers also died in similar faction in the Gwewu Mountains. Is it because they are not politicians among them? That is why when they died, the state didn't set up any fund for their family. Is it too late? Or is it possible that we could, as a nation, say that, well, it's an oversight, and therefore this fund that we are setting up will not be only for the families of the fallen 8, but those that we actually did not compensate or we didn't do anything for in the past, we want to include them. Last week I told you where the former defense minister said that civilians who die in such military aircraft are not entitled to any insurance coverage because the military equipment are not insured. Because now at that time, questions were being answered to people who died 4 years earlier in a military helicopter crash, whether the state has compensated them or there was any insurance. It says no, they are not entitled to any insurance because the equipment are not insured. So for me, I think that beyond setting up the fund for these people, I'm of the view that if we can expand it and rather make it a permanent fund, that for the military, because we as a country are unable to find the necessary money to insure their equipment, we are putting up a certain fund that is there that in any time any person in the armed forces happens to fall for similar fate, there can be some fund that we can easily rely on to support. I'm not sure that we want to stay here maybe in 10 years' time. Another one happened that we are setting up another fund. I think that is something that we really need to look at, and not only for the military. Some people are asking, so is it because they work for the government that's why we are setting up a fund? And somebody asked me, what about the June 3rd disaster victims, those who are alive up to today, who have always been crying that they are so struggling for life because their livelihoods have been lost, they have been destroyed beyond conditions where they can work for themselves. There is no support to them for survival, to the extent that some of them have been in court with the government for over a decade now trying to seek compensation, and up to now the courts who have been turning the issues up and down. The question people are asking, so are those people being treated that way because they were not working for government? Were the 7 military officers who died in 2002, is it the state didn't set up any fund for them because they are not politicians among them? So people are asking questions, and which I think that is also making it look like in this country, unless you're a politician, when things happen to you, the state doesn't really care about you. And I believe strongly that it's a wake-up call for all of us to recognize that every Ghanaian is a Ghanaian. And if something happens to any Ghanaian, the state must show that kind of interest. The person should not only be working for the state, or the person should not be only a politician. Because how come that 7 officers of the Navy, of the Air Force, died in 2002, and we have not set up any fund for their families? And then today 8 are dead. And because there are 5 politicians among them, we are setting up a fund. It makes the ordinary person question the way the state operates. It makes ordinary person have this feeling that then if you are not a politician, you don't matter in the scheme of things in this country. And I think that we should use this occasion as an opportunity, and I will even put it before the members of parliament, that if they resume, it will be an opportunity for them to say, yes, it's a good step that the state has taken, but they will believe as parliament that if we can set up a certain form of a fund to compensate everybody that gets into similar situation, so that people will be happy. As I said here the last time, nurses are in the rural areas. Some are on the way to island communities to inoculate or provide health care, and they both capsized and they died. Who compensates them? Who has a fund for them? If a teacher is traveling from one community to another to go and teach, and there's an accident, then the teacher dies, who compensates? They are all working for the state. Even if those of us are not working for the state, what about other state institutions? There are people who have been dispatched to go and do a state duty, and on their way, there's an accident and they die. Where is any form of compensation or fund to support those? So I am thinking that once we have realized that it's important to support those left behind, probably President has announced it that it's for the fallen 8, but it's not too late for us to say we want to expand it. And even the state should have a certain amount that every budget should make a certain contribution into that fund. In addition to the contribution from corporates and ordinary people, so that we say this fund is there. Anytime that things happen like this, we will rely on to support those left behind.
Right. That was. Alad, you want to chip in something?
Difficulty on the aspect of ideas on this fund. First of all, let's establish that an accident is undefined. It can happen at any time. What we ought to do as a people, for me, in my view, is to strengthen the institutions that we all have as a country established. Now, what are the mechanisms put in place within the ambit of the Ghana Armed Air Forces, the Ghana Armed Forces, and of course the Navy? So that in the unlikely event an event like this happens, okay, the arrangements within gives some respite to the family left behind. Okay, if we do have some, what is our social, welfare interventions that we have made? I believe that is what we should look at. But ad hoc setting up of fundings, okay, or funds, I should say, I mean, it's for me, it's a non-starter.
This tragedy aside, don't you think we should have a fund of a national nature that can deal with issues of public officials or public servants?
It's exactly what Elvis is espousing. Elvis says, look, it is important we have a fund like this. First of all, I'm here to cite a law that says that we should have a fund. We should establish such a fund anyway. We do have institutions like Senate, we have institutions like the pension scheme, we have all this and that. However, if we will need to promulgate a law or to enact a law that says that, look, government will set up a fund, which fund is to deal with contingency issues at the right time. I mean, issues that we do not even all anticipate. And when it so happens, out of the fund, a percentage of this, something like, will go to families that, of course, are affected. A good example is when Elvis talked about the military men or the army men who fell some time ago. What did we do for them? So if this idea is coming up, then we can moot the idea properly, put it before Parliament, get a law to back it, set up a fund like that. It's not touchable until we move on. Otherwise, we're going to open the floodgates for funds. I mean, people to be setting up all manner of funds. We're setting up this, we're setting up that. Nothing stops you as a family to do something like that or set up foundations that will call this. But of course, we should try to streamline it and get a law put in place, of course, and then set up something like that.
So
otherwise,
this fund should have legal backing.
It should have legal backing, basically. If we don't have something like that, we risk opening the floodgates.
Right. But Elvis, back to you on this same fund. It talks about the children of the victims. But these victims we know were philanthropists, benevolent people. They had people out of their, if like, immediate family depending on them. We've heard even the Honorable Minister for Education, Ernest, Addo, say you take care of some, I think 47 students that the Honorable Mutala was taking care of. Students. So what happens to these dependents as well?
I said it here last week that for me, those left behind are not only the children. Some that are gone have surviving parents. And probably the person that is gone is the only one capable of providing for their needs. And now that other person is gone and there's no support for that, well, who takes care of that person? You see, it's a surviving parent. And now he's lost the son in an accident. And that son is the one who makes sure that his or her electricity bill, water bill, food is provided, health is provided, everything. And now that person is gone. And then if there's a support, it's for the children and not for the other beneficiaries. I think parents are important. Even with the children, they didn't even include the spouse. What about the spouse? The spouse is a direct beneficiary of the person who has passed. Why? So I think I made the point here last week that the kind of support we want to, if we are going to do it, it should not be restricted to only the kids. We should, on case basis, look at these people. Who are their direct dependents? Is there a way that the state can make sure that these people benefit? Somebody was suggesting that these people, he believes that they should rather also be put on the salaries that their family members were earning till retirement, so that even though they are dead and gone, to support the families, the salaries they are earning should continue to be paid to the families for until there is time for their retirement, and then whatever retirement package that is there, they give it to the family. So the person also thinks that instead of setting up a fund, it would rather be better if whatever salaries they are earning is rather extended to their family for their period. But
that's debatable.
That will work for probably the Air Force people.
No, but
for a politician,
even the Air Force
4 years
people, we don't know when they will resign and move into other fields.
This one resign is not out. It's no longer there. The person is no more. So the assumption is that then the person is going to serve to retirement. You understand it?
So we are going to formalize ghost names.
It's not a ghost name. These are not ghost names. The person, if the person had not died, he will continue to be on that salary. And you see, these are ideas people think that instead of setting up a fund that looks like discriminatory because it cannot be done for others. If you extend what the person is earning, then it becomes automatic that if the person dies in service, not only because of this, but if the person dies in service, that is extended. But then I ask myself, what about if I'm working in the Ministry of Health and I die? Are you going to say that my salary should also be extended to my relatives until 60? So now also, if you look at it from the larger scale, and you look at the government payroll, and look at the number of people who work for government, even though the person is dead, somebody else will be recruited to replace the person. So now you are paying double salary for that position because somebody is gone and you are extending the benefits to the surviving family. And then you are recruiting somebody also to replace the person. So at the end of the day, if you want to say anybody that works for the state should be treated that way, you are going to have a huge problem in terms of the payroll. Payroll. And because if you do it that way, it means that public is not contributing to the fund. But if you set up a fund, aside government making contribution maybe annually, there's opportunity for public, and there could even be opportunity for fundraising events to actually get money from corporates and individuals to support. So then the financial burden of government does not become too much. So that suggestion, it sounds good, but then I ask myself, why should it be only the military or the police? Why not? If they are saying so because they work for government, then all the maybe 1 million people on the payroll of government of Ghana should also get the same benefit. And see, these things opens up for a lot of discussions. You understand it? It brings up issues of how we work for the public, and when something happens to you, what happens to you? I can tell you that there are people who have worked for state institutions. They are not dead. They have debilitating sicknesses, and you'll be surprised that the institutions have taken them off payroll. And now they can't take care of themselves. I remember about 8 or 10 years ago, we had to follow a case for a fire service personnel who had a stroke living in Ho and had been taken off the payroll because they said he's not working. And this guy needs money to go to hospital. It took us a lot of battle. We have to go to the fire service head office here. That time I was with the find that we took it up that we'll fight for this guy. The kind of explanation restrictions, the challenge we had to go through, just asking that the person was in active service and the person had a stroke. Why stop his salary because he has a stroke and is no longer be able to report to duty? Why don't you see it as the person is, because the argument is the sickness is not something that happened to me in line of duty. A stroke happened to anybody. It's not like he's going to douse fire and they got bent. That one then means that they take. But if it's just a normal sickness, there is not their responsibility. So there are issues with how people who work for organizations, especially the state, when they face sicknesses, the way the state institutions react, the kind of support system, it is a whole caboodle of conversation we need to have, not only because people have died in an accident.
That's what like you mentioned, the welfare systems in these institutions.
Which if we talk to a lot of public institutions, people are going through a lot. Once you are sick, you can't report to work. Before you realize somebody has stopped your payment. For instance, they say controller has come around.
Every time that was a woje boy now woje penny my say would be share now would be here. Meaning say your best answer is share. Now you share near the sema emotion ma go my monkwan ebe somo. Every time made our see the way a radin come your best answer is share.